That was ridiculous. This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Letterboxd.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com, more of our podcasts at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. You can also follow us on Letterboxd at Obsessive Viewer, Obsessive Tiny, and I am Mike White. And finally, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer at the minimum rate of $1 per month for an exclusive RSS feed with content recorded specifically for Patreon supporters. In this week's episode, episode exclusive for Patreon, we talked about baseball and, struggling to find something worthy of recording for Patreon. So,
yeah,
fun.
Pretty much.
You get what you paid for. So yeah, I don't really have any housekeeping or anything. I'm Matt, by the way. Tiny, how's it going?
I'm good, man.
Good. Yeah. Anything going on like this?
Oh no, I got yelled at by a fire marshal the other day.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was stupid.
Wow. What did you yell back?
No, I didn't defend myself because he was kind of being a dick about it and
oh yeah,
it wasn't really my fault what was going on. But it's not a good idea to piss off a fire marshal because they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, well, okay, you're going to treat me like that? I'm going to shut your place down for 2 weeks.
Oh, damn.
So I don't want that to happen. That
would set you on fire.
Yeah, they might be able to.
Oh, wow.
I really don't know. Huh. So, yeah, I just kind of took it on the chin and, complained about it to my wife.
Nice.
Nice. That's why you get married.
Nice. I listened to audiobooks at work.
Nice.
And Pizza, she did this last night. She tried to lay on the little...
On our recorder?
Yeah.
Your recorder?
Yeah. It's the podcast's recorder.
It's the podcast.
We're good.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, it was funny because we were just recording and then Pizza was just like, yep, I'm just going to lay here because I'm a cat.
Yeah, did her cat thing.
Yeah. And then, of course, she sits down because it's... Here we go.
Good call. There you go.
Thank you.
Like a deterrent.
Yes. Housekeeping and feedback. Don't really have much of anything going on. We're recording this a week in advance, so if some big news thing hit within the last week, we'll talk about it next week probably.
Yep.
But something we do have a little bit of news to kind of go over that hit yesterday. Screen Rant, published a post saying Game of Thrones runtimes for all season 8 episodes revealed. As we all know, season 8, the final season of, Game of Thrones, is coming out on April 14th is when it's premiering, I believe. And it's going to be for 6 episodes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And, they announced the runtimes for them. So kind of reported. So, okay, the season 8 premiere will be 54 minutes long, and the second episode will be 58 minutes long, and then the fourth episode will be 78 minutes long. Fifth episode will be even longer at 80 minutes, and the finale will also be 80 minutes long.
Okay.
So I had that information just pulled up right here and I was ready to go and I knew all about it. What do you think? How do you feel about that?
I'm a little surprised. I figured they were going big old 80, 90 minute episodes for all of them.
So did I.
But I mean, we haven't seen them yet. Let's not.
Right.
Let's keep, we're so desperate for information because it's still over a month away or about a month away.
Yeah.
And so, we're all just chomping at the bit. And so any little piece of news. And I like how conservative they're being with it. They're not, even the trailer, the 2-minute trailer, there's really not hardly anything in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pretty, which I like it that way. I think.
Oh, me too.
I think it's cool. So, yeah. I mean, it's news.
Mm-hmm. I'm stepping on Tower Junkies a little bit, but so what's it called? Amazon Prime has their Game of Thrones, or not Game of Thrones, but
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings thing in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna open a can of worms by saying any of this, but how, like, just in generally speaking, like, say this is all conjecture and everything. So say that Amazon Prime releases their Lord of the Rings series, their first season of it on Amazon Prime. First of all, how kind of cool would it be if that is competing directly with not Game of Thrones, but whatever Game of Thrones prequel series that they're going to have?
Uh-huh.
What would you be more excited about?
Game of Thrones prequel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I haven't read anything. I haven't been up to snuff on Lord of the Rings series that they're doing.
They've kept it pretty well under wraps.
Have they? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just not super enthused for it, and there's no reason.
Okay.
No reason for that. I just haven't looked into it very much.
Interesting.
I'm like you said, April's going to be so huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like mainly focused on Game of Thrones, Twilight Zone, Avengers Endgame. Like that's going to like occupy my watching and creative efforts for a while.
Seriously, how fucking crazy is April?
It's a big month.
And then also we were talking off mic about like all the stuff that's going on in April, like that we will have to cover in various podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Also next Friday, I think it is, Us comes out. The new Jordan Peele movie.
Which looks nuts.
It was at South by Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
Rave reviews coming out of the film festival.
Nice.
Or it might have been a Fantastic Fest, now that I'm thinking about it.
It looks so creepy and scary.
Does.
And I talk a lot about how I don't really get scared by a lot of horror. I think it looks scary.
Yep.
So.
And apparently like the buzz that I'm hearing is like it's crazy, like it's nuts.
Nice.
So yeah, we're definitely gonna have to review that. Yeah, just super busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's run it down real quick. We've got Us. I miss Us. Us, New Twilight Zone, Pet Sematary, April 5th, Game of Thrones every week, Avengers Endgame. That's in the span. That's it. Like, that's all that's within the next 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking nuts.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so we're gonna have, like, this is gonna be intense. And also, peek behind the curtain, I'm starting school for like online school stuff, like, for this university that is partnering with my company. Did I tell you about that at all?
No, you didn't. This is news to me.
Yeah. So, accelerated courses, 5-week courses, all online and everything. Kirsten's been doing it and she was telling me about it and she's like, yeah, there's kind of a bit more work than I expected. So like on top of all of that and relaunching 2 podcasts and everything, I'm going to be doing school stuff.
Oh man.
So it should be
crazy.
Expect, some more hiatuses, guys.
Yeah, really.
I really hope we can stick to April cause
I know,
man, and
it sucks cause like, that's like the weather changes. And so like, I want to be like outside working in the yard.
Me too.
And stuff.
Well, not working in the yard, but yeah.
Yeah. Like we have a big race party every year, which is the end of May. And so like we got a bunch of stuff we want to do before that.
That's right.
So yeah, that's going to be a challenge to squeeze that all in.
At least you're not building a deck again.
I know. Thank Christ.
Unless you guys build a second deck.
We're good. We're decked out.
A double decker?
God damn it. Nope. None of the stuff we want to do is like huge project like that.
Yeah.
Some of it's kind of projecty, but not like everything can be done in a day.
Nice.
So
nice. Well, that's cool. This all ran far away from me.
Yeah.
Any other news or anything? I don't think anything else has come up.
Yeah.
So this episode is kind of going to be a hybrid of Letterboxd and
There's a family in our driveway.
It's probably the neighbors. But y'all scared of a family? Hi, can I help you?
Zora, put your shoes on.
If you want to get crazy, we can get crazy.
So I wish I would have edited the Potpourri episode, because then I would know where to splice this in. But let's just go ahead and just assume that we've already done our introductions and everything. I'm going to put our Us review before the extended Potpourri. So, this is Us. Reviewing Us. So we're going to review Us, and then we'll go into the extended Potpourri. So everything you just heard from our previous recording is null and void. So we're going to review Us. We're going to do non-spoiler and spoiler alike. Tiny.
Yes.
How were your expectations going into Us?
Pretty high, really. I think, like I said, Jordan Peele has just managed to skyrocket to the upper echelons of cultural relevance. And I with Get Out and Key and Peele and now the Twilight Zone, he's just crushing it. And so I had pretty high expectations for Us. And obviously with the trailers and stuff, the trailers and marketing were incredibly effective for this movie. It just made me, as soon as, regardless of the details of it being in the latest Jordan Peele movie, I was very intrigued by the marketing and the trailers and stuff for the movie. So
totally agree. I'm the same way. I was very excited for it, and I was very excited because it was coming out a couple weeks before his production company released the Twilight Zone. Which, by the way, I'm reviewing the Twilight Zone over on Anthology at anthologypod.com, so check that out. But yeah, so I was excited for Us. I was very excited for it. The hype surrounding it, I like to go in with an open mind and not get too tied into the hype. And fortunately, I didn't let the hype machine kind of take me. But afterwards, it kind of bothered me. There's one website called Heroic Hollywood that's kind of I kind of feel like a lot of people don't take them that seriously. And one of the reasons why, at least I think recently, is because their big quote, their pull quote from their review of Us is the greatest horror movie of all time.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
Pump the brakes.
Yes, let's simmer down here. Let's cool it here. It's a great movie. I loved it. Spoiler alert for the review, but let's just not, okay?
Yeah.
But anyway, I do want to mention that you and I saw it at a press screening, and then I saw it with Kirsten the weekend it was released, and I had made the stupid joke. I said, if you're still game for Saturday night, we should get our tickets today when you're available. Also, I'm secretly hoping we get to the theater and find out that they pulled the movie so I can look at the theater employee and say, with a whimper and in complete sincerity, what happened to us, Stacy? In that scenario, the theater's employee's name is Stacy. Just FYI.
That's good.
So yeah. And then Kirsten and I did not get tickets that day. The next day she texted me and said, oh, hey, let's get tickets whenever. So I said, damn it, I was going to text you and say, what happened to us getting tickets yesterday, Kirsten? Yeah. So, anyway, that's that.
Milking that title for all the puns it's worth.
I sure am. And it's worth noting, she's probably not going to listen to it, but it's worth noting that when we were seeing the movie, she made the joke that this was the prequel to the show This Is Us.
Nice.
Yeah. So, anyway, Us. You want to hit me with the plot description courtesy of IMDb?
Yes. A family's serene woodside vacation turns to chaos when their doppelgangers appear and begin to terrorize them.
Yes. So, in broad terms, without spoiling it, what did you think of Jordan Peele's sophomore effort, Us?
Liked it quite a bit. It's flirting with my top 10 for the year. I think it could definitely be in there. I think the best thing about it is its originality. I mean, it's so easy, especially with horror, to be derivative. and I didn't feel any kind of derivation on this with this story. I mean, it's completely original, and it was surprisingly funny.
Yeah,
like when I saw Get Out, I saw it by myself, like at home and stuff, and I wish I would have seen it in the theater because I think more of the scenes and the dialogue would have translated comically for me, because there was a lot of stuff that was like situationally funny in Us, especially early on, that I appreciated quite a bit. And it like that it's the type of comedy that's difficult to achieve. It requires a lot of chemistry and good camera work and a good director and all that stuff. And it wasn't just blatant, stupid jokes. It was situationally funny stuff. So that was all real. I appreciated the crap out of all that. And I thought the trailers that I had seen for it, I was expecting to be scared, and I totally was. It was definitely a scary movie. Like, anyone who says they weren't is just bullshitting you, I think. But I think what ended up gripping me the most by the end of the movie was just, it wasn't scariness, it was disturbing. Just a very disturbing story. Which I kind of think I appreciate that more. I think it tends to stick with me a little bit more. Make you think, sort of. Like when we saw the movie, we had originally planned to do like a parking lot recording. In the car. And we didn't, because I think you were under the weather and all that stuff.
That sucked.
Yeah, but as we were leaving, I'm really glad that we didn't do that, because I had to like sit with this movie for a little while and think about it and really collect my thoughts. And I mean that as a compliment. I don't think that's, I'm not knocking it down for that. I think that's a good thing. So, I ended up really liking it. I think it is slightly overhyped. I think the hype got it a little bit. It was so hyped, and then everyone, to sort of save face and saying, well, it's not like the best movie I've ever seen, or like maybe Get Out was better. I don't know. But I think everyone's just heaping praise on it because they feel like they're supposed to, maybe. I think it's suffering from that a little bit. The hype is.
Some of it, yeah.
Like, I think it's a great movie, and I think it deserves tons of praise and all that, but I wasn't like blown the hell away by it. But I think it's a damn good movie, and I really liked it.
I agree, and I think I liked it a little bit more than you did.
Okay.
At the end of the day, but I do agree that the kind of internet is kind of overhyping it a little bit. Especially that website.
Yeah, that's
horror movie. Like, come on,
right?
It's unnecessary. But
and I do have a funny story from the screening that I'll share here in a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will say, kind of to give input to the mystery surrounding our listeners about my health in that screening. I had, first of all, this pissed me off because, and I don't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast at all. I don't know why I would, but I may have actually mentioned it on the podcast now that I think about it. But anyway, I was at work and I was rounding a corner and I heard someone sneeze. And I rounded the corner, and apparently they didn't cover their mouth because, like, within 10 minutes of walking past the guy, I had a sore throat. And it was just, like, that infuriated me because, like, for 3 or 4 days after that, I was just, having that kind of just, like, sore throat, congestion, and everything.
Yeah.
And when we were in the theater for Us, that's when the sore throat, like, got, like, worse and worse and worse. Like, there was a moment, like, I'd come prepared. I had a pocket full of throat lozenges, which is my debut album title. So I was popping these cough drops like no tomorrow, and like it was to the point where it was so bad that I had to do like 2 at a time.
Yeah,
just to have some kind of relief. But it was like anytime there was something shocking or something funny that I would have to like my reflex would be like or like any type of like noise and everything. It was like an intense pain in my throat.
Jesus. And
I want to get that guy fired. But yeah, to actually talk about the movie, what you guys are listening to this for, I really loved it. I thought that the balance between comedy and horror was really well situated. Like, I mentioned this before, but Winston Duke's character. I identify with him. Like, I don't have kids. I don't have aspirations to have kids.
Yeah.
But he is a quintessential dad. And, like, that type of dad humor is something I like to think of myself as a student of.
Totally.
Reference the stupid us play on words that I used earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that, I was just so happy with that character in the movie.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah, and like even the bickering among the family, like the whole the argument over who drives in the car, so great.
Yeah.
But to talk about the actual horror of the movie, like it's super unsettling. The character, the doppelganger characters. First of all, when Lupita Nyong'o spoke as Red, like when she had that raspy voice and everything, I was like, I feel you. That's, like, I identify with that character too. Yeah, it was it was just so unsettling, and like they had setups to things that got paid off later that were paid off in unique ways that you wouldn't really expect them to be paid off. It wasn't like a simple like, he put the micro machines on the floor and the wet bandits slip and fall.
Yeah.
Which also, I love the Home Alone reference in the movie.
Yeah.
So great. I do also want to mention that the violence in this was intense.
Yes.
It's not like a gore fest thing, but like it's kind of the thing that's like off screen as someone's being, just ripped apart with a fire poker,
right,
or a golf club. Like it's this crunchy kind of horror, and I really dug that. There are a few different like acts to the movie, and like we'll talk about that in spoilers, but I do want to mention that kind of the middle portion of the movie takes place in a specific location, and I thought that was like tops. Like that was the strongest part of the movie. And it also has a very cool reference to The Shining in it. So I dug that.
Yeah.
Anything else on non-spoilers?
Yeah, so what happened at the theater...
Oh, yes.
It's funny. It's really funny. So there was a guy who was a couple rows behind us. Mm-hmm. I think he was there with his girlfriend or wife or something. Mm-hmm. And they weren't talking throughout the movie, but they were making some comments.
As much as I hate that in movies, I got such a kick out of that.
Me too. They were really funny, and they weren't annoying. They were talking to themselves, like amongst themselves, but it was loud enough that we could hear.
Yeah.
It really didn't bother me, but like the first thing I remember him saying, I think we were 30 minutes into the movie maybe, and I don't remember specifically what happened on screen, but I think it was like someone got stabbed, or it was something really extreme, and like everybody in the theater was like gasping and stuff. And then after everyone finished gasping, the guy he was a black gentleman. Mm-hmm. He was just like, no, I ain't never gonna forgive Jordan Peele for this. Never. No, I mean some of his stuff is good, but this, nope, I ain't never gonna forgive him for this. It was so funny. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
It was so funny, man.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
I love that Jordan Peele tweeted, like after the movie was coming out and getting a lot of buzz, he was like, all he tweeted was, "Us is a horror movie."
Yeah.
Because of the whole like, it's elevated thriller or whatever, because it's a prestigious horror movie, and horror needs to stay in its lane and not be prestigious filmmaking, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I just love that he just said that, like it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Also, he mentioned, and this got kind of some, I don't even know if it necessarily got any flack or anything. I think it was just in the way that a headline was written. But basically, he had said that he doesn't see himself casting white people in lead roles in his movies, which I think is fantastic. Like that's I'm totally fine with that. But the tweet, like there was a tweet to an article that came out with like, sorry white guys, you're not going to get cast in a Jordan Peele movie anytime soon, and like that's what caused like the whole fervor and everything.
Right.
Like in my head, I'm just like, if anyone's like legitimately like thinking like, oh, that's racist of him not to do it, like, okay, fuck off. Like, that's not like, just stop.
Yeah, my problem with it was he said, like, I understand if he doesn't cast white people or whatever, like, that's fine. But my problem with it was when he said, I've seen that movie before.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, so every movie with a white lead is about the fact that he's white, or like black people can't identify with it? Like, that phrase bothered me.
I can meet you halfway, and I can understand where you're coming from, but I think I don't think he's necessarily saying like, oh, I've seen like every white movie or white person in a movie is the same person. I don't think he's like saying that.
Right.
I think he's just saying that he hasn't seen black leads in movies enough.
Yeah,
so.
And that's fine. And plus, it's like he writes and directs his own movies, so like if he's writing a story and he's seeing a black guy in the role, why would he cast a white guy?
Right.
So like I get that completely. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. Anything else on non-spoilers?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. No.
Okay. Cool. Well, we're gonna dive into spoilers for us. So, you know what? I'm probably going to go ahead and I'll put that here. So we're going to dive into spoilers for us. I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. When we come back, we're going to be spoiling us. If you want to skip that and just listen to our extended potpourri, check the show notes for the timestamps for where you can jump ahead. So without further ado, we're going to go into spoilers for us.
They won't stop until they kill us. Or we kill them.
Okay. Us. Spoilers. I don't want to talk about the twist yet, because I feel like that putting importance on the twist is kind of not what the point of the movie was.
Yeah.
I loved the violence. The Shining reference was great. For our listeners, the Shining reference is when what is
the twins?
Yeah. What Tim Heidecker and
Elizabeth Moss.
When their characters are taken out and the twins are taken out too, the kids go up the stairs and they see the twins' bodies, and they're situated in a way that is similar to how the twins are situated in The Shining when Danny Torrance is walking down the hallway and sees a vision of them dead on the ground. Love that. That whole sequence I thought was phenomenal.
Yes.
Everything from Tim Heidecker and Elizabeth Moss. They're kind of going back and forth.
Their bickering was funny.
So great.
Yeah.
The way that they use the voice activated thing was fantastic. I recorded something for Anthology last night, and my stupid thing went off and scared the crap out of me again. So anyway, the way that was utilized was great. I loved that whole sequence, and the way that it plays with sound and the absence of sound also was phenomenal. It also reveals that this is a global thing. Like, it's not just the family being hunted.
Right, that's what I liked about it.
Me too. So what did you think of the whole sequence in the movie and spoilers?
It was really awesome. It reminded me of like a complex, semi-complex structured scene from like a David Fincher movie or something. Like, it made me think of like, what was that movie? Safe Room? Is that what that movie was? Panic Room. Panic Room. It made me think of like that. Like, that was a highly structured, complex movie, and it made me think of something like that. Like, you really want to focus on it because it's like, you know, the devil's in the details, and it's just the structure of it's really cool. And so yeah, like I love how it was kind of an open atrium loft style house. It just all worked really well. And yeah, like the whole reveal that it wasn't just the Lupita Nyong'o's family that had the doppelgangers. It was like everybody, and I was like, holy shit, how deep does this go? This is crazy. And I was like, this is like an apocalypse, essentially. This is crazy. I loved that part. And the violence of it, like you said, just like, I feel like if you're going to make a horror movie, it has to be, this movie wouldn't have been as effective with less violence, or with, if it was gratuitous, over the top, just silly violence. I don't think it would have worked. Like, I like the fact that it was, because there's comedy throughout the movie, and that's the source of the comedy. in this movie is through the dialogue and the chemistry with the actors and everything. You don't sometimes when you have the gratuitous violence with buckets of blood and it's ridiculous and it's kind of fun. That has its place, but I think that would have been out of place in this movie. I don't think it would have worked. So I think the straight up legit violence was highly effective, and that scene is where it got amped up.
Absolutely.
Was in that scene, yeah.
There was a really cool kind of visual flourish that I noticed when Tim Heidecker is looking outside and Elizabeth Moss is walking up to the window. Like the way that it's framed is that she's walking up to the window and we see on the left-hand side of the screen her reflection walking like toward her in her direction, like the reflection is coming up close. I little things like that I loved. I thought it was great.
Definitely.
The way that Jordan Peele uses setups and payoffs in this movie was really interesting to me, because he sets up the whole like kid in the pantry or whatever with the car, and then also the magic trick with the pyromaniac as well,
right? And
then also the flare gun. I thought was really well done.
Yeah,
like the way that was paid off was perfect, because it wasn't like a big moment. It was just completely in keeping with the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
So let's talk about kind of the ending a little bit. The kind of trap that is set by the kid doppelganger, and the way that he disposes of his doppelganger is great, where he just has him walking behind or walking back. So great. So, man, I love this movie.
Yeah, it's cool.
So what did you think of all the stuff in the bunker in underground?
Yeah, that was the part that was just really disturbing to me. Just the fact that there's humans down there that are like live that awful existence, basically. Yeah, that was just incredibly disturbing to me. And then just the fact that I don't know. Like it took me a while to sit with this and be like, man, what are the implications of this? Or like, how did he think this up? And like, why are they there? And how is it that like, it's interesting that when she gets to the bunker, like she just like went down some flights of stairs and like slipped through a couple doors, and it's like, it's not like there's like some secret hatch or like some hidden doorway that led down. It was like, someone should have stumbled upon this a long time ago, or like if this was, why were all of the doppelgangers just hanging out at the bottom of an escalator? Like all they had to do was get on the escalator, and like, I understand they weren't like intelligent or whatever. There's a disconnect there, but it's, I don't know. It seemed weird to me that it was so open, and like they could have just, how is it that none of them escaped or like accidentally got out of the bunker before that? That's what I found weird about it.
Yeah, I didn't really have any problems with that or anything.
Okay.
Just because specifically they are kind of, not all there, but also they are mirroring what their counterparts are doing up top.
Right.
And I really liked the twist of her, like them switching places when she was a kid. And like by the end of the movie, when it's about to be revealed, I was thinking like, is that what we're leading toward? Like, and like I was kind of figuring it out and thinking like, okay, this would be a pretty effective like twist and everything, but I have no idea how the hell they're going to communicate this in the movie.
Right.
And the way it was done, I mean, it was well done. I liked it. I thought it was a good, very dreary and unsettling ending, because the implications of that is that this girl has lived her life underground, and it's a weird juxtaposition of her and the doppelgangers being like, she's not like them, but she's there for years.
Right.
And it's so disturbing.
And it's strange to me that like she was all there presumably as a child, and like why didn't she leave? Like I
that's a good question.
Yeah, because she maintained some semblance of intelligence because she orchestrated their uprising.
Yeah.
You know, she was like the only one of them who could like speak and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the reason, like, the way she was able to orchestrate the uprising and everything was because they saw her dance. And that had some kind of, like, that signal to them that she has a connection with them that they don't share with their counterparts and everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have problems with it or anything. I did kind of question why she didn't just leave.
Yeah.
When, I mean, granted, she was, you know, handcuffed to the bed, but, like, she was not handcuffed to the bed for several years.
Right.
I don't know, but we can nitpick it or just kind of take it in as it is, and I appreciated it for what it was.
Definitely, yeah. It didn't like ruin the movie for me by any stretch of the imagination.
Jordan Peele does some good stuff. I don't know if
I think I mentioned last time we recorded, I don't remember exactly, but I was talking about the cultural relevance of Jordan Peele now and all that, and I was listening to NPR, and they were like analyzing the movie, and they had some interesting points that I don't remember exactly who. They had like some film critics on. I don't remember who it was, but one of them pointed out, or it was mentioned at some point, that the doppelgangers were the result of like a government experiment.
Yep. They mentioned that in the movie.
I completely missed that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
I think it's when Red, but Lupita Nyong'o's doppelganger, I think it's when she's talking about it. She says that that they were experiments. They learned how to copy a person but not copy the soul, and then they failed, so they just left us there. Okay. So that's kind of what happened.
Gotcha. Okay. I remember her saying that, but I didn't. I guess I just missed that part of it. Yeah. But I think the performance of Lupita Nyong'o is like next level because of
absolutely.
That would have just been so easy. Like her playing the character of Red, the doppelganger, could have just so easily been over the top.
Yeah.
Or hokey. Doing that with her voice could have been just awful and could have just like completely taken you out of the movie. But she walked that tightrope remarkably well. I don't think she was over the top like ever. She managed to maintain creepiness and scariness and just like tragedy by the end. It was just incredibly tragic. Like you said, like that little 8-9-year-old girl just had her whole entire life ripped away.
Yeah.
And she had to, towards the beginning when the doppelganger family breaks into the house and they have them all sitting on the couch and she's telling the story and she's talking about how, she didn't get nice gifts at Christmas anymore. Right. And when she had her children, she had to have like a C-section with one of them, and she was like, she had to do it herself. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like that's just a level of disturbness.
Right.
Yeah. That was like, I was like, man, that's the next level shit. That's like why this is a unique movie. Like that's not something you really have seen before in a horror movie. So,
and I'm not qualified to talk about this or put it. I don't know. I don't know if there was social commentary being made.
Yeah, I was wondering about that myself. I was wondering if you picked up on anything, or
I kind of have a thought that it might be a little too surface level and not. I don't know if this is what he was going for or not, but it kind of felt like maybe some of it was a little bit of an allegory for slavery.
Slavery, right? That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, just the imagery alone of Lupita Nyong'o being handcuffed the whole movie.
Yeah,
like that kind of adds resonance to that. But the idea that these people are thriving while these other people are completely just miserable and not in control of their own life. There's like this bondage kind of storyline that's happening. And I kind of got that, but it wasn't to the level of like the social commentary and Get Out,
right?
Or anything,
right? And I didn't really get the whole Hands Across America thing very much.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Jordan Peele just hates Hands Across America.
I guess.
I think it just was more for to connect it to the tethering idea, maybe.
Okay.
And just the imagery of it. It was effective. It was cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Very interesting.
Right.
Couple other things. First, in the scene, to kind of backtrack with Tim Heidecker and Elizabeth Moss in their home, I loved and I kind of feel like maybe there's something there that I'm, again, not qualified or don't know enough to, or haven't thought too much about it to really form a concise hypothesis about it. But the juxtaposition of the white characters, playing like the Beach Boys, and then horror unfolds and they try to call the police, but they play "Fuck the Police."
Yeah.
Which is in itself is hilarious. Like that,
right.
That's a hilarious bit. And then the black family comes in to, not save the day, but, to seek help and then have to kill the doppelgangers, everything. I kind of wonder if there's something there in terms of like race or not cultural appropriation, but like some kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm totally reaching in completely out of my element here.
I hadn't considered that. Well, no, I hadn't considered that, but now that you say it, I wonder if there is some subtext there.
Yeah.
If you will. If there was, I don't know how to interpret it, I guess.
Me neither. Yeah, but it was still really effective, funny, and unsettling scene.
Yeah.
Also.
I also appreciated Lupita Nyong'o, her performance as the surface person, if you will.
Sure.
How like kind of scared she is of Santa Cruz.
Yes.
Because it was. I really felt it, and like I love how in the moment, like when early on in the film, when she's talking about how stressed out she is and she's scared about, just being back there and going to the beach and stuff like that makes her nervous. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense she experienced something traumatic. But then by the end of the film, you understand just how traumatic the context. I was like,
so
holy,
great.
That makes it even more disturbing that, she had such a horrible life up until that moment. Of course she doesn't want to go back there because she's afraid that she's going to be sucked back into that underworld, if you will.
Right.
I was like, holy shit, that just makes it even more resonant.
Yeah. And kind of unnerving, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Just so great.
Yeah.
There was a tweet. I do want to mention the ending. The kind of first of all, I love that the use of "I've Got 5 on it" and the remixed version of it was in the finished product and not just in the marketing.
Yeah.
Really, really great. Just I don't know, really, really great use of that song and everything. And the ending with the kind of final confrontation between the two Lupita Nyong'os, I thought it was just, there was such an elegance to it.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, I got a tweet from at Lunacy of a Geek. They said he was there with his wife. We both loved it. Hang on. We both loved it. I only had one minor issue, but it was something I may have missed, and even if not, it wasn't enough to detract from the whole movie. In my opinion, the final fight was one of the most elegant, fascinating pieces of acting, directing, fight choreography I have ever seen.
Nice.
And I agree, yeah.
That was very cool.
Yeah. And it's just, there's a beauty to it that's just so well realized and captured. I loved it.
Yeah.
And that freaking remixed "I've Got 5 on it" track is so unsettling.
Chilling.
Yeah.
Chilling and haunting.
Yep. Like for some reason I just decided to look it up and listen to it. It's only like a couple minutes long. At midnight when I was about to go to bed, and I was like, it was a weird thing because I don't usually get unsettled or anything or scared, but I was like, this is really unnerving. I'm kind of nervous right now.
It's one of those pieces of music that I think is going to stick with. It's going to stick in that context, if you will, kind of like the Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
That music, I can't hear that without getting a pit in my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that in a good way. It's an incredible piece of music.
Right.
But it's associated with that movie, and that movie is incredibly disturbing. So
whenever I hear that, I just want to cut my arm off.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Man, that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in years.
Me neither. I think I've said before, I saw it in high school and have never seen it since.
Yeah.
And I've never done any drugs because of it.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't. Nope.
Yep.
And I've never watched, like, a sleazy, like, telemarketing kind of, like, show.
Right.
Or infomercial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think that's our review of Us. So to recap, Tiny, what happened to Us? No. Okay. Basically, yeah, that's our review. How do you feel about Jordan Peele's career? And how excited are you about the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, super excited about the Twilight Zone. Yeah, I think he did great here. I still think most people, just to be completely subjective here, I think most people hold Get Out and Us in a little bit higher esteem than I do. Mm-hmm. I think they're awesome, and like I'm going to tell people to watch both of them. Like I think they're great. I don't even really have bad stuff to say about them. They're just, it's not quite like blow me away level for either of them. But like whatever he comes out with next, I'm going to be there to watch it. Like I'm excited for what he does. One thing I didn't mention really quick is, people were asking me about, like my dad asked me about it after I saw it, and a couple other people I know who are movie buffs, and like everyone seems to be super interested. They were like, so is it just like a horror movie? I mean, like what, like people are very curious, and like I just told them like it's basically just like a straight up horror movie. I mean, I was like, you're gonna laugh. There's gonna be some comedy in there. Just like Get Out. I was like, but I can't. I was like, first of all, I don't think it fits into a box really well.
Right.
But if you got to put it into a box, you have to put it in the horror box. Mm-hmm. I was like, but it's not just a horror movie. It's a good, unique, one of a kind horror movie. I was like, yeah. And I told some people like my wife's never going to watch it. I was like, you will hate this movie because she doesn't really like horror to begin with. Yeah. But I told my dad, I was like, watch it without mom. I think you might actually you might enjoy some of this. So, nice. But yeah, did you wrestle with that or struggle with that? Like when you were trying to describe the movie, like would you just call it as like pretty much straight up horror movie?
I would just say it's just, I mean, it's a horror movie. It's not, as heavy with social commentary as Get Out was. Yeah. But it is a very effective horror movie. Yeah, a lot of the similar things that you said. Cool. Yeah. And to tie it back to the Twilight Zone, also, and to kind of shoehorn in another reference to my other podcast, Jordan Peele did say that one of the things that he drew inspiration from for this episode or for this movie was the season 1 episode of the Twilight Zone, Mirror Image, which is about a woman who is at a bus station and just sees her doppelganger there. Oh, cool! And hilarity ensues. In the most Twilight Zone-y way. But yeah, so I recommend checking out that episode. It's season 1, episode 21 of the original Twilight Zone. And yeah, that's our review of Us. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. We are going to dive into our extended potpourri that was totally recorded at the same time as this and is totally not going to be an awkward edit to bring us back into that extended potpourri episode that I haven't touched in 2 weeks. So, enjoy, and thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to do a quick Letterboxd potpourri round, and then we'll go into our individual extended potpourris. So Tiny, do you want to bring up the first Letterboxd potpourri? Like, throw something at me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead. Because I've been talking a lot. I don't know if you want me to.
I don't care. I talked. It's fine. It's fine. I'm very curious about 1995's Strange Days. Yes.
Watched. Okay, so Strange Days is a 1995 sci-fi movie directed by Catherine Bigelow. Yeah. I almost said Katherine Heigl. I have no idea why. But Catherine Bigelow, it stars Ralph Fiennes and some other people. But it's a really interesting science fiction premise. It was written by, or co-written by, or story by, I don't know, James Cameron.
Right.
So...
Weren't they married at the time?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So Strange Days is about a kind of... I'm going to read the plot description because it's been a while.
I've heard it's kind of a cool movie.
It is. It is very cool. It's funny because it's got, I talked about it briefly on Anthology when reviewing, an episode of Black Mirror. But anyway, the plot description for Strange Days is a former cop turned street hustler accidentally uncovers a conspiracy in Los Angeles in 1999. So this movie is set like a few years in the future, of the time of its release. It's set like right before, the ball drops on Y2K, which in the movie I think they just call it 2K.
Okay.
So it's...
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's... The premise is, about like this underground kind of, thing where these people will wear, or have these like, I think I can't remember the exact way it is. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. They'll have something like a contact lens or something like a hairnet kind of thing, a wiry hairnet thing.
Like a neural net thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
That basically records their point of view. And so there's this whole underground kind of black market for people to get like footage of people's experiences. And like when they get the experiences, it's not like they just get like a DVD or a VHS of like the recording or whatever. Like they have their own like neurotransmitter thing.
So you can like feel what they felt.
And like experience like their point of view, like first person and everything. And you experience their sensations and everything, which was timely for me to watch it because Black Mirror season 4, the final episode of season 4, Black Museum has a plot like a storyline in it that is kind of close to that.
Yeah.
It's based on a story by Penn Jillette called The Pain Addict. Yeah, I think. It's about a doctor who has this like implant in his like brain that lets him experience the pain of others while he has like this weird hairnet kind of wired neurotransmitter thing on his head. And he becomes addicted to feeling other people's pains and sensations. Just really, really messed up. So cool. Check out Anthology for my, review of that. But anyway, Strange Days is interesting. It kind of goes through this whole, conspiracy thing where Ralph Fiennes is trying to get back something, and he kind of uncovers this kind of dirty cop police police beating thing, and it's very much kind of tied to the kind of the era of it. Like it's a really interesting depiction of the climate of the late 90s, like after the Rodney King verdict and the LA riots and stuff. It's very much like a kind of not necessarily dystopian, but like kind of slightly like grimy, like futuristic kind of version of that. Very interesting. I thought that it was it was a lot of fun. Like Ralph Fiennes steals the movie. Like he's fantastic.
Nice.
Is it Rafe or Ralph?
His nickname is Rafe.
His nickname's Rafe. Okay.
Yeah, it's Ralph Fiennes.
So anyway, he's great. He is fantastic. Also, really bizarre, really is a bizarre piece of trivia, but you know the song, I think it's called Right Here, Right Now by Fatboy Slim, where it's like, it does like the whole like kind of, I don't know what kind of music it is, but like kind of like dubsteppy, but like electronic, like DJs kind of stuff. But it, like there's a woman that's repeating the line right here, right now, right here, right now.
Yeah, I think I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the line of that of a woman saying right here, right now is like Fatboy Slim sampled that from a clip in Strange Days.
Okay.
So it's so weird to see like that clip and see like, I think it's Angela Bassett says it, like it's a highly emotional thing and like very dramatic thing, and then like she's like yelling at Ray Fiennes and she's,
"This is your life! Right here! Right now! It's real time! You hear me? Real time!"
She's like, right here, right now. This is where your life is or whatever, and it's just like, oh, that sounds familiar.
Huh.
It's kind of interesting. But anyway.
Yeah.
That's Strange Days. I watched it for my little Letterboxd project that I need to get back into.
Yeah.
And, like, I have fallen by the wayside with all of my little, Letterboxd, projects and everything. But it's for my, 20 director challenge on Letterboxd. So,
cool.
Yeah, so that's Strange Days. It was pretty good.
Was that Catherine Bigelow's first like movie directorial?
It might have been. Let me actually check.
No, she had some stuff in the 80s.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, she did Point Break. How could I forget that?
Oh, yeah, totally.
In 1991. Love that movie.
Oh, so same here.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I recently read a book about the
nerd.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I listened to it in my car.
Nice.
The future of artificial intelligence.
Oh, nice.
It was really interesting, and they talked about like the potential for a neural network.
Oh,
where you could literally, it's kind of like the Matrix. You could like plug in and like your self consciousness could like leave your body, and an AI could like run your body while you're gone.
What the?
They talked about like it would revolutionize health because you could have an AI come in and exercise your body while you're gone, and then you come back and you just wouldn't even have any idea that you exercised. And
whoa,
yeah, it was like it was really interesting the way he was talking about it. Like the potential is pretty. Like we could all go to what's it called in? Say we could all go to San Junipero while the AI exercises our body or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. Or it was like it could lead to like some phenomenon where humans die, and like where the moment where that technology is perfected, we all live forever in San Junipero, and organic humans die.
Wow.
And like those people are the end of the human race, but they live forever.
That's crazy.
In San Junipero. Yeah, it's like I was like, holy, it was a very cool book. It's called Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's a very, very interesting book. So
it
made me think of that when you were talking about Strange Days. So
that's intense.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Huh. That's all. Where would you want your consciousness to go?
Oh man, I don't know. Cause they could literally, yeah, nice. This thing, it could literally be anywhere, anytime, or it could be any fantasy you could think of. Cause you could just,
or it could be
right here, right now.
Nice. Yeah. So I don't even know. I'd have to think about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, me too.
It could be some fantasy that you just think up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer Lawrence is for days.
Yes.
Anyway, that was my Letterboxd potpourri. Tiny, I want to know what you thought of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah. So I watched that recently, and I liked the first one. I thought it was relatively simple, and I thought there was a lot of charm to it and stuff like that. But this one, I still liked it quite a bit. I just think that universe is just, I love being in that universe. Mm-hmm. That's how I'll put it. I love being in that universe, the Harry Potter, the wizarding world, if you will. I just find it so fascinating. But these, like, I watched the honest trailers for this movie, like a couple weeks ago maybe, and it's dark. It's a dark ass movie. Like, I think it's even darker than the Harry Potter stuff, which kind of got,
I could see that,
later on got darker, which I love about Harry Potter. But this is just uber darkness, and it's not bad necessarily. It's just different. And like, I'm glad that there are some respites from the darkness. For example, the main guy,
Newt Scamander.
Thank you, Newt Scamander. Eddie Redmayne, yeah. It's just like this fun little simple guy who just loves animals, and like when he like captures the dragon thing from China, that was just like super charming and cute, and felt like I really enjoyed that. And then I should have like loaded this on IMDb. The American guy.
What was his name?
The actor's name.
James or something Fogel.
Yeah, Dan Fogel.
Dan Fogel.
Yeah. I think he's fun. He's funny. The Honest Trailers was funny because they were talking about how he just basically makes faces the whole time.
Sure.
Yeah, he's like the most regular. Like in the Harry Potter series, they didn't have many Muggles.
Right.
Like non-magical people that were like major characters, but he's, he's a major character. And it's kind of.
That's true.
It's kind of interesting having a Muggle be our main character. Look at us using terms.
I know.
Fake terms.
Even though technically with the American side of that, they call them no-magus.
Oh, that's right. They do. Yeah.
Which, when Fecus and I reviewed the first movie, he raised a big stink about that. Like, it's the most unimaginative.
It is.
Thing. And like, I agree. Like, I don't know.
Very American.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie, and I kind of liked the sort of evil plot. I thought was pretty interesting. And I'm genuinely curious to see where it goes, but I read recently they're going to do 3 more of them.
Yep.
That's too much, I think.
Yeah.
I'm really a fan of just keeping it simple and like, do a trilogy, man. You could totally wrap this up in one more movie. I don't know. I say that, but then I loved the 8 Harry Potter movies.
Right.
I think it was necessary to break up that 7th book into 2 movies, kind of.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, I think that was I don't think that was just a money grab.
No.
I think it made creative sense. But this, I don't know. It seems, I mean, obviously they remain to be seen, remain to be made. It could be great movies. I have no idea, but, it just seems like a bit much to me.
I agree. Like, I was weirdly bored throughout the whole movie for me, but
okay.
Also I recognized that it was moving pretty briskly.
Yeah.
Like, I was bored with the plot, but I was also like, this kind of move. I'm not like bored. Like, I'm not bored out of my mind in terms of like, oh, when is this going to end? It was more like, okay, let's just wait for this to end.
Get to it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've both movies I wasn't too crazy about, and I've kind of, I have the idea that, or the thought that J.K. Rowling, it's such a jump from writing books to writing movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she has transitioned well to that medium. Because there's so much, she doesn't have enough room to really create like a compelling mystery or anything. Like, the whole thing with Credence in this movie, it's like, the surprise or the end, like the reveal in the movie isn't earned.
Yeah.
At all.
It's a bit of a red herring almost.
It is. And it's in, like, the reveal just, like, I wasn't like, oh, like, I didn't like gasp, or I wasn't like, oh my god, what does this mean or anything. It was more like wait, what does this mean? Like, like what? There's 7 books that this had no inclination of that being a thing, like, at all.
Right.
Like, what? And it's just seems so bogged down and kind of up its own ass with its mystery.
Yeah.
And I feel like if this were a book, she would have a lot more space to really develop it and make it more interesting. But I think there's a struggle there. And also, I felt like, this is the second movie in the series of 5 movies, and I felt like they were already kind of stalling for time.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So.
I agree. So yeah, I felt like, in each of the 7 Harry Potter books and 7 stories, there was a concise plot in each movie, and there were threads, obviously, that ran throughout the entire series, and that's sort of missing a little bit from these movies.
Totally.
There's only been 2 of them, but I don't know. I appreciated that about the the Harry Potter films and the Harry Potter books, because like it took me a long time to get into them, and like I saw the fourth one, Goblet of Fire. Mm-hmm. Like I saw the third one, and I was like, that was pretty decent. I didn't mind it. You know, it was okay. I wasn't a fan. I just wasn't into them at all. Mm-hmm. And I saw Goblet of Fire. I was like, okay, that's really good. Like I actually liked that quite a bit. And then the movie just kept getting better and better, and I was like, I got to read these books, and I just fell in love with the books, and I'm a total Potterhead. Yeah. Afterwards, so
I think I mentioned this last week with Fecus, but I've been like the last couple of days, I've listened to the first two Harry Potter books on Audible.
Nice.
And couple notes about that. First is that man, they're so good.
Yeah.
It's just like that world is so intoxicating and interesting. Mm-hmm. Second thing is that the first book was published June 26, 1997 on my 11th birthday. That I am so like, if I could go back in time and like just hand myself that book.
Yeah.
And like, kind of, I would have loved to, I feel like I missed out on experiencing Harry Potter in real time. Like the people that grew up with Harry Potter.
Right.
Like I am envious of them.
Totally.
And the other thing that I actually just saw on Twitter and I just confirmed and everything is that, J.K. Rowling was 32 when the first book, was published.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize she was that young.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was thinking more in terms of like, she was old.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. Like she's, I don't know. It's just interesting that like she got her big break in her 30s.
Yeah, I just thought she was significantly older than that now. That's all I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. There's a really funny meme that's like, since she is so fond of just revealing just hidden things like, oh, Dumbledore's gay. It's like, all right, cool. There was a funny meme, on Twitter that was like, J.K. Rowling reveals that in the Harry Potter books that you were gay the whole time.
Oh my god. That's funny.
So dumb. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going through the books and everything on Audible, and I am curious because after I finish all of them, I'm going to go and rewatch the movies and maybe give Fantastic Beasts another shot.
Okay, nice.
See how I feel about them.
I liked it. Like I said, I liked being in that universe, and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a decent movie in general.
Yeah.
But it's definitely got its faults, and I think the series could kind of recover or take off nicely if it's done right.
Yeah.
With some of these other movies.
And see, that's kind of where I'm at with it, because the Harry Potter series, like, it's clear, like the entire, like, it's some of the most, I wouldn't say most intricate, but like, it's some of the most, impressive, like, storytelling, like the way that she connects everything together, and like everything kind of comes together in very unique ways. And it, like, things are paid off and everything. So I've got to imagine that she has a 5-movie story, like, and she has this idea.
Right.
And that future installments will kind of start bringing those threads together in interesting ways. We'll see. I don't know.
We will see.
Yep. So should we go into our extended potpourri?
Sure.
Cool. So, I guess I can go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This one will be brief, because I don't really have much to say about it because I only watched the first episode so far. But, The Umbrella Academy on Netflix. Are you familiar with the show?
I haven't looked into it at all, but I've seen it pop up on Netflix.
Okay. It's got Ellen Page. It's about a group of, so basically in 1989, some 40-some women suddenly, like one day, suddenly became 9 months pregnant and gave birth to children at the same time.
Huh.
And this eccentric, like, billionaire person, adopted like 8 of them and raised them. And now 30 years later, he has died, and the kids that he adopted have come home to kind of settle his estate and everything. And there's a lot of bad blood. It's basically, he was training them to be superheroes. because they all have some weird superpowers and supernatural abilities. Very eclectic group of characters, very different like abilities and interesting kind of dynamics at play. Like there's one character that takes his whole superhero thing kind of literally, or like he takes it more seriously. He's like a vigilante, kind of like a Batman or Nightwing is what I kind of compare him to, and judging from the first episode. And like there are other characters. Ellen Page plays the one that's kind of like, she doesn't really have like any special abilities. And then there's another one that's this kid who can travel through time, and like the end of the first episode has this really interesting hook that has me very excited to watch the rest. That I won't reveal or anything, but by the end of that first episode, you get a really good, solid base of what you can kind of expect from the season as a whole. And it has been renewed for a season 2. It's based on a graphic novel that was written by the lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
That's random.
Randomly enough. Also, you want random, there is also a British, a British talking monkey butler.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I really need to get back into it. I kind of got bogged down with rewatching The Shield. But I do very much like what I saw, so I'm gonna watch the rest. And
nice.
Yeah.
Sounds eccentric.
Yep. So that's The Umbrella Academy. It is on Netflix. I've only watched the first episode, but I say give it a shot.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kick off my potpourri with 50 Shades Freed.
Oh, nice.
Which the wife and I finally watched. Finished that trilogy.
For everyone listening, Tiny is our resident BDSM supporter.
Expert,
yes.
No, not expert. No, but like, you've heard me talk about them before. They're just stupid fun and just dumb entertainment. And it was extra fun with this third movie, because they really just weren't even trying anymore. I mean, it was just it was more softcore porn than the other two movies.
Wait, hang on. Let me just stop you right there. They were trying before?
Maybe a little.
Okay.
But they really just, like, it was literally like they'd be in the middle of a dialogue scene, and like the slow jazzy music would come in and they'd start banging and he'd start beating the shit out of her or something. And it was just like, it was so weird. I was like, man, they didn't even, this is like, you could put this on Showtime at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday, and people would be like, oh, there's some softcore porn on Showtime right now. Like, that's what, it was that blatant. It was just really weird.
Wow.
And it just, man, there's this whole plot where like her old boss is still trying to hunt her down or something, and he like won't give up. And
do you know offhand who plays him?
The boss is played by Eric Johnson.
Okay.
Some strong-jawed, good-looking man. I'm not familiar with anything
I wasn't
else
in
he's
the
done.
movie.
Hey.
Anyway,
you're funny. But no.
I thought someone like more recognizable was.
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope, that guy. I'm not familiar with anything else he's done, so.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was very cheesy, like a B story in a season of 24 cheesy. Like that
wow.
Kind of, it was ridiculous. And then like, just the whole, their relationship from the get-go just never made sense, and it still continues to not make sense.
Jeez.
And, they get married and stuff, and that's not a spoiler, it's in the trailers.
Right.
And it's just like, yeah, great decision. Like, it's just so fucking weird. It's so weird that people latched onto it the way women latched onto it the way they did. 'Cause it's just not good. It's just not a well-constructed story. The relationship doesn't make sense. Dakota Fanning and Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan just don't even have much chemistry, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Jamie Dornan's actually maybe a pretty decent actor.
Okay.
I haven't seen him in anything else. I can't say, but Dakota Johnson's just nah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he seems like he could be decent. I don't know, but I don't think he has anything to work with. And trying to bounce ideas off of Dakota Johnson must be like trying to work with a bowl of Jello. Yeah. So, anyways, it was all just in good dumb fun. You know, it's worth a watch for that, in my opinion. What's
your ranking of the 3 movies?
Oh God, I don't know the order they were released in, because who cares? I mean, I really don't. I'm not going to put that much thought into it. I'll put it that way.
Nice.
So yeah, 50 Shades Freed. It happened.
Wow.
It's over now. We can all.
Yeah.
We can all get past it.
Right. I'll get you the audiobooks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. If you're interested in more poking fun at the series, there's a blog I stumbled upon several years ago of this woman who was reading the books and reviewing them on her blog. It's the name of her blog series is called 50 Shades of Tedious Fuckery. And like Google it, it's hilarious. Like I think she might be British, but she just tore it to pieces, and it was really entertaining. I read like the whole thing.
I remember that because we worked together.
Yeah,
and you showed that to me, and holy crap!
Yeah, it was funny. So
that's great. I'm looking it up now.
Yeah. I hope it's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, if I find it, I'll put it in the show notes.
Sweet.
But yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, should I go
Please do.
Okay, so this is a movie that we both saw in the theater together.
Yes.
Apollo 11.
Nice.
First of all, I haven't had a chance to talk about this. I don't think I may have talked about it on a Patreon thing, but to backtrack, the most recent, or like a couple Patreon exclusive things ago, I'm not going to go into detail about it. If you want to hear about it, you pay us $1. But one of the recent Patreon exclusive recordings, I talked about with Fecus how kind of aggravating it is, like when kids are very talkative during movies in the theater, and like what kind of propelled that was
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, was this was this Facebook post that someone that we went to high school with posted a Facebook like status that was a picture of her kid and like at the movie theater, and she was talking about how like we saw How to Train Your Dragon 3 and this one narrated the whole movie for everyone, haha, and like that kind of triggered me, and I was just like, just teach your kid not to do that. Like, like you're in a public place. Like it's not cute. It's not funny. It's disruptive to everyone else who paid money for it, and everything. So then like that led into this whole, not argument, but discussion with Molly and Yuri in this little group chat I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, if you go to kids movies, like you know, expect that there are kids there that are talking. Like that's just like 2 hours is a long time to expect a kid not to talk and everything. And like I get their point and everything, but so anyway, Apollo 11
yeah.
is a documentary about the Apollo 11 mission to the moon, told this is incredible, told entirely through archival footage. There's no talking heads, no
interviews or anything.
There's no like title cards or anything like that. It's like a narrative. It's a narrative constructed completely out of archival footage. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it in IMAX a few weeks ago. Tiny, what was your experience with these people that were sitting directly behind us? Did they bother you at all?
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
Like I was super, and if you know my personality at all, I'm not this kind of person. I'm not confrontational in the slightest. I almost turned around and was like,
Me too.
You gotta stop.
Me too.
You gotta stop. I almost turned around and shushed.
Yeah. For context.
Yeah.
It was a family of people. Like, okay, the argument that like, okay, well, if you go to a kids movie, don't be surprised when there are kids talking. Like, right. I get that. I will still reserve my right to be a crotchety old man.
Yes.
And be annoyed by it. But when you go to a documentary about the moon landing.
Yeah.
That is completely told through archival footage. Like, okay. I respect bringing kids to that. Like, I respect that, but it's just like, and I love the idea that there were kids there that could learn from it and everything and be inspired by it. But also, like, in the back of my head, I was like, you wouldn't expect kids to be here.
No, I'm actually a little surprised at how well behaved they were.
Yeah.
Cause I think it was 3 kids. It was at least 2.
It was at least 2.
At least 2. I think the kid that was being annoying, I would guess he was 7, maybe 8.
I would have thought like a little, 7 or 8 probably.
But there was another kid who was like 11, 12.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't eyeball any of them.
I think like 6th grade is maybe the threshold for bringing a kid to that movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think even a 6th grader would probably be fairly bored by it.
Right.
But could still be like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
But like, younger than that, they'd just be like, why is nothing blowing up? Or like, well, they'd be like bored or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, this kid, mostly in the second half of the movie.
It was also mostly in kind of the beginning, too.
Was it? Okay, I don't, maybe I'm just misremembering.
Oh, I immediately caught it.
Okay.
Because like, that is like, so annoying.
Yeah.
Like during when they showed footage of like the launch pad and like the spectators and everything, like I was mentally like checking like all the shit that this kid was saying. He was like, well, they all have white hats and like totally constructive, totally interesting.
Oh, I didn't even hear him talking.
Oh, really? Oh,
I thought you were talking about the foot tapping.
Oh no, that fucking pissed me off.
I was furious.
Yeah. You didn't hear him talking?
I didn't hear him talking.
Really?
I wasn't paying. I didn't
and
hear
like
that.
the whole family was kind of talking a little bit too.
Okay.
So let me run through like what all happened. The kid was like, "Oh, why are they all wearing white hats or something?" And it's just like, who the fuck cares? It's not Lost. You're not gonna fucking dissect like little things. It's just footage of people.
It's irrelevant, kid.
Yeah. And then there was a shot of someone in Mission Control, who had a name tag that said Willie. So the kid blurts out, his name's Willie. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm glad that I couldn't fucking figure that out for myself, you fucking, anyway.
You can read.
Yeah. So, you can read what's on screen, but you clearly can't read the room. So, and then, when they were doing the countdown to the launch, he was like counting along with them, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And,
Man, I don't even remember that.
Oh, I remember it vividly, Tiny.
God.
But yeah, the foot tapping thing.
Yes.
Like I get it. Like nervous energy, kids all hopped up on sugar and hormones or whatever. Like there's a lot of like energy and everything that, he's been sitting in there for like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Starts tapping his feet rapidly while Neil is on the fucking ladder, like descending onto the moon.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like I'm divided, like it's a very highly emotional, like very like profound moment. Right. And I hear this fucking kid just tapping his fucking feet and his fucking parents not doing a goddamn thing to stop him.
And he did it a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't the whole time. He would do it in like a burst of like a few minutes and then stop for 10 minutes and then do it again. And it was loud. Like it wasn't like I could gently hear it in the background. Right. Like it was loud. It was like if that was my kid after the 3rd tap, I'd be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
stop."
And that's deep down. I think that's what kind of pisses me off too. Is that it was loud enough to where it's like, okay, it's like he's doing it almost not intentionally, but it's like it's not like the kind of involuntarily
exactly
like, tapping. It's like he's bored enough to where he's entertaining himself.
Yes.
Yep. So yeah. Ugh.
That was infuriating.
Yeah. And then also like the family, like they were talking like at random intervals. Like there was one thing, like I get what she was saying, but the way she said it just kind of got to me a little bit. Like there was footage from the capsule, or from the capsule, like seeing the Earth through the window. And I think that there were some computer generated imagery with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think. I assume. I don't know, because it looked fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then also shots from the moon. And like, I get what she was saying, because she was saying like, like, in her brain, she was, like, the thing that she was conveying was that it's computer-generated imagery for the documentary to make it look, like, nice and everything. Like, it's computer-generated. Like, this particular portion is computer-generated, but she kept saying, like, is that fake? It looks fake. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, don't perpetuate this stupid fucking thing. Just, yeah. So I don't know. That was just, and like immediately after that, like when I got in my car, I texted Fecus and was like, yeah, Apollo 11 was really great. And then I told him like in a wall of text, like all of that.
Yeah.
And then his response was, I said, just got out of Apollo 11 with Tiny, by the way, really amazing. And he said, oh, I know, I loved it. I was the youngest person in the theater by 30 years.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you're so fucking lucky. The youngest people in the theater were the two, I pegged them at 11 or 12-year-olds, that were sitting right behind us with their parents and commenting on a decent amount and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, ha ha ha, your movie theater experiences are cursed. You must have been John Wilkes Booth in your previous life. It's like, yeah, I'm sure that I was.
Oh my God.
Sic semper tyrannis.
Oh my God. But the movie though.
But the movie, yeah, okay, so yeah. Really, really compelling documentary.
I loved it.
Absolutely. Really great. Just like the footage and the way that I was so enamored with the way that they went for it. Like they made it a narrative. And it's funny because like, Criterion Channel is coming out next month, Criterion's streaming service and everything, and for charter subscribers, they have movies of the week, which I haven't been watching. And I've been thinking about canceling my subscription because just 3 podcasts and a cat, I can't handle so many streaming services and stuff. But, each movie of the week, each Wednesday, it resets. So like the previous movie of the week, you can't watch it anymore. The service launches April 8th and you'll be able to watch everything there. But this week's, as of this recording, we're recording it March 13th, is the 1989, documentary For All Mankind.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is a similar, I don't know if format wise it's similar, but it is comprised a lot of archival footage and like footage that was shot like on the moon and stuff.
Nice.
So I'm gonna have to definitely squeeze that in.
Cool.
And watch it. It's just kind of tough because with the Criterion Channel charter subscriber thing, they don't have the app yet since it hasn't launched or anything. So like I have to either watch it on my phone or on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Apollo 11 was phenomenal. I highly, highly recommend everyone go see it because like the thing that really kind of blew me away about it was that it's like this what we did.
I know.
It is just like in the most literal sense of the word, it is completely awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Like just it is like, it's so hard to believe that, like, not hard to believe, but it's so inspiring to think, like, we fucking did this.
I know.
Like, this is a thing that happened, and it's just so incredible. And, like, it made me just legitimately sad that we haven't done much else.
Right.
In terms of space exploration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so inspiringly demonstrated the grandeur of the event. Like it's the greatest adventure in the history of humankind.
Yeah.
It's the greatest adventure we've ever been on. And, 100 million people watched it on TV and like, they like broadcast, like when they launched, I think they broadcast the whole launch for like 6 hours on network TV. Like, they don't do that for anything anymore. Right. Even an election. Yeah. They don't do. I mean, and so it's just like, just the grandeur of it and like all of the steps involved. You just don't fully understand.
All the variables.
Yes, exactly. And like, how were they able to calculate all of this stuff perfectly? I mean, it's like, you're guiding a bullet that's been fired out of a gun that's what you're doing. And it's like the fact that they were able to do it with, technology that looks like a friggin' abacus compared to my phone.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah. And it's so lucky that they filmed everything in 70 millimeter back then, because the way it transfers to IMAX, the way they were able to restore it and show it in IMAX was just astounding.
Yeah. The restoration,
the restoration was unbelievable.
It completely mind blowing.
Especially like the opening shots of the launch pad and
stuff?
The launch pad on the crawler.
Yes.
Crawling to the launch pad. Like, it looked like they dressed people up in 2018 and filmed them.
Right.
That's what it looked like. It was that crisp and high definition. I was like, damn, that's just amazing how they, and I don't know if there was some CGI involved or something like you said. I have no idea, but if there was,
if it was fake.
Yeah. If there was, you couldn't tell.
Yeah, you really couldn't.
It was just unbelievable. I was really blown away.
Yeah, it's God, and I love space. Like, the idea of space exploration is something I've always been just fascinated by.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's a tinge of just sadness that like throughout my entire life I've thought I hate that I'll never see like us colonizing the stars or achieving stuff that's in science fiction. That's why I love science fiction, is that it transports me there. I need to get back into The Expanse. But anyway, it's just so wonderful. Just seeing that, and I had this little tinge of just sadness that we didn't go farther. The whole, when they're on the moon and everything, I was it took me back to that mindset. That time frame, being in 1969, all I thought was I didn't time travel or anything, but it put me in that mindset that it was people then are seeing this and they can extrapolate, they'll have a moon base in 5 years and we'll be able to go to Mars and everything, and it's amazing that we have robots and everything on another planet. Just think about that for 1 second.
Yeah.
We have fucking robots on Mars, in a completely different planet than our own. That is incredible to me.
Absolutely.
And it's just so fucking inspiring. And this documentary was really phenomenal.
It was.
Yeah.
That, this is relevant, but that book I read about AI, it talked about the impact it would have on space exploration.
Ooh.
Because the space exploration is limited by our ability to wield energy, obviously, and how quickly humans would age. Aging humans, right? To the nearest star, it would take us 100 years to get there or whatever at the speed of light. Something like that. I can't remember. So with AI, you could have human embryos on board, and the AI could steer the ship for 500 years and keep the human embryos alive and recolonize a planet. I was just holy shit.
That's
and it's
so
not even
amazing.
We could do it with the propulsion technology that we already have. We could use nuclear energy, and it doesn't matter. We don't have to travel at the speed of light, because it could take 500 years to get there, and it's not a problem. I was holy shit. And we could have all the software and technology that those humans would need to communicate with us. So we could literally establish another colony on another side of the galaxy and communicate with them.
That's so...
Yeah, I was holy shit, that's crazy. It's just crazy to think about space travel.
It really is. I'm pulling up my Audible because I'm gonna restart listening to the Expanse series.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
So anyway, yeah, Apollo 11 was really good. I highly recommend everyone see it.
I think it's the first movie I'm putting in my top 10 for the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I really, really loved it.
I do have a, by the way, there's a book called, I haven't read it yet, but it came out a handful of years ago, called Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson. It's kind of a massive book, but oh, that's interesting. I'll just read the summary. First of all, Seven Eves was included on President Obama's summer 2016 reading list. So, let's see. Real quick. A catastrophic event renders the Earth a ticking time bomb, and a feverish race against the inevitable nations around the globe band together to devise an ambitious plan to ensure the survival of humanity far beyond our atmosphere and outer space. The complexities and unpredictability of human nature, coupled with unforeseen challenges and dangers, threaten the intrepid pioneers until only a handful of survivors remain. 5,000 years later, their progeny, 7 distinct races, now 3 billion strong, embark on yet another audacious journey into the unknown, to an alien world utterly transformed by cataclysm and time. Earth.
Jeez.
Yeah, why haven't I listened to that yet? But yeah, so I think there's a movie coming out about it. I don't know.
Really?
It might be in development hell right now, but, yeah, it's called Seven Eves, all one word.
I am interested in that.
Yeah. I am downloading Leviathan Wakes and Caliban's War for the Expanse. Okay, so yeah, so that's my, extended potpourri section for this, or that's my one there. What's your next?
Really quickly, I wanted to talk about, I have 2 more things, but they'll be brief.
Mm-hmm.
A documentary I watched on Netflix that's still on there. It's called Senna, which is a documentary about a Brazilian Formula One race car driver, who was prominent in the 80s and 90s. And it's really just about his life. And sort of similar to Apollo 11, the footage, like the visuals, are 100% stock footage.
Okay.
There is audio of modern interviews with people. Okay. Who know him and knew him. And they dropped that in, but it's all with stock footage.
Okay.
So it was really cool in that regard. And I think I'm not a fan of Formula One racing. It's kind of a difficult league sport to follow because it's international.
Yeah. Yep.
But I know I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know it's very political and there's just tons of money involved, and it's a very tricky sport to be in, very tricky league to be in. And it was demonstrated really well in this documentary by how he came from a prominent family, but it was a prominent Brazilian family. Like Formula One is very European, even though it's considered a worldwide, it's a worldwide league. But like most of the drivers who make it to like the top teams are from, France and England and Germany, and it's a very elite European type thing, and like there's not a lot of Australian or Japanese or Brazilian drivers who make it into the upper echelon, and it's just blatant elitism. It's not, and it's funny because Ayrton Senna was Brazilian and he was the best. He was the best in the league, and like he was so good that they could not keep him from winning championships and being hired by the best teams. And there was a guy who was, F1 is very common for rivalries. Okay. Because people kind of, if you're good and you get to the upper echelon of the sport, you stay in it as long as you can. And so he actually was like a very fierce rival with this French driver, but they were both extremely good. And so they ended up being teammates, but they hated each other. It was really incredible. And I think what's great about the documentary is that he was like a very unique person. He was like a god in Brazil, because he elevated Brazil's international, racing profile around the world. And he was like one of those once in a generation type competitive athletes. Wow. He's like a Michael Phelps type person. Like, there was a race. It was actually, ironically, it was the, Brazilian Grand Prix. Okay. And he had never won it. It was like his 5th season. And he was so determined to win it that like before the race, he was like, I'm going to win this race today if it kills me. And like, he was beating the shit out of everybody. He was like 3 laps ahead of everybody.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Beating the shit out of him. And his gearbox jammed. His gearbox was stuck in 6th gear, and he still had like 40 laps left. And he still won the fucking race.
That's nuts.
Yeah, they showed footage of it. He had to be helped. They had to like peel his hands off the steering wheel and they had to help him out of the car because I think he maybe had some tendon damage in his arms because he had to fight the car so hard to hang into sixth gear, and he still won the race. I think he only won it by 5 or 10 seconds instead of 3 laps.
Jesus!
But he still won the fucking race. It was just incredible. He was an incredible person.
We both grew up in Speedway, home of the Indy 500 and everything. Oh, by the way, when you said that Senna uses a lot of stock footage and everything, would you say that he uses a lot of F1 footage?
Hey! Oh, that's pretty good. A lot of open wheel footage?
Yeah. But we both grew up in Speedway. I don't really, I'm not a sports person or anything. And I'm definitely not an auto racing, aficionado or anything. But just the skill that it takes to do that, I feel like when people who don't, aren't, keyed into, what it takes to really do, what drivers do, on the track, it's easily dismissed, just drive 500 miles, okay.
Right.
Or just, drive, it's an endurance thing. It's not a peak athletic thing, but the amount of work that goes into it and just the mental dexterity that's needed for it.
Yes.
And the danger of it also is just, it's just insane.
It really is.
Also, Ron Howard's movie Rush, that was Formula One, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
That was a little bit before this. That was 70s. But the 70s were an interesting time in all of auto racing because the technology was advancing so fast that the safety couldn't keep up. And as was evidenced in the movie Rush, a lot of race car drivers died in the 70s and early 80s. And it got to the point where they were okay, we have to make significant changes to this sport before people die, but so people stop dying, literally.
Right.
And so my father-in-law is a huge auto racing fan, loves the Indy 500. And he talked about when he would, in the 70s, it was all about all the new cars coming out this year. And it was every 2-3 years there was a new engine, a new chassis, a new body style. That was the time of Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt and all those guys. And that's where all the innovation was. But now, all the innovation is in safety. If you look at all the new stuff that comes out, it's about making the sport safer. And it's just a different way of looking at the sport. It's not necessarily good or bad, but it's you can only go so far with speed. Right. In the speed record at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is 240 miles an hour, was set in 1996. Jeez. It's a 20-year, it's you would think, technology continually improves, you would think that it would keep going up, but they actually made the cars slower because 240 miles an hour is a little too fast. For that track. You would need to design a whole new track for a car that can go 250, 270, 290 miles an hour. Yeah. And so it's just it can only go so far, and it's because of guys like Ayrton Senna who continue to just push the sport and push what's humanly possible inside a race car. Wow. It's a really cool documentary. Nice. I think even if you're not into racing, I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I'm gonna have to check it out. That reminds me, there was this book, I think it was about, I think it was called Blood and Smoke. It was about the first Indy 500 or something, I think.
Oh, okay.
This was years ago that I read, I started reading it on Kindle. I never finished it, but, I just remember they were talking about the innovations of the race cars and everything, and how at the time, when around the time of the first Indy 500, the cars topped out at 60 miles per hour or something. Yeah. And, one of the drivers, one of the things that stuck with me was that one of the drivers said, after testing a car or something and getting up to 60 miles an hour, they're people should not drive that fast. We're not meant to go this fast.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah. So. Well, that's cool. I'll Senna. It's on Netflix.
If you ever get a chance or you're feeling interested, it's an interesting movie.
Nice. I'm gonna kind of round out my extended potpourri with a quick thing. Here in a few weeks, the Twilight Zone, Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone, is premiering on CBS All Access. So so excited for it.
Mm.
All the marketing they're doing, all the trailers, all the little like Facebook social media things are great. There was one recently, I don't know if you saw it, but it's this image of this plane and sound effects of the plane and everything. You see the clouds like going, like it's shot from the underside of the plane.
Okay.
And so you see the clouds moving and you hear the sound of the plane, and then it's slowly zooming out, and like the perspective shifts, or like in your mind, like you realize like, oh, it's not actually flying. It's just like in the sand. Like it's just sitting upright in the sand with its nose in the sand.
Wow.
And it's so disorienting and cool. It says like Twilight Zone, April 1st.
Nice.
CBS All Access. So excited for it.
Yeah.
Everything they're doing is right. But I do want to mention a couple of things. One is I just kind of preemptively signed up for CBS All Access, and I've kind of been browsing it. It's really cool. It's good interface and everything. I'm using my PS4 for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff. And something that kind of got my goat a little bit. I think that this was referring to the Twilight Zone, but I saw like comments, like I think it may have been like on that post on the Twilight Zone Facebook page. And like one person commented and was like, well, if it's gonna, if they're so sure, or if they think it's gonna be good, or, I can't remember exactly what the guy said, but he said something like, well, if it's gonna be good, then why don't they just put it on network TV? Like, put it on regular TV. And like, it just like, it triggered something in me.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, first of all, get out of here with that. Like,
Yeah.
No. Like,
No.
just, like, I'm presuming a few things about this person, but, like, okay, if you're, for lack of a better word, old and crotchety.
Yeah.
If you're like me in a movie theater with kids surrounding me, like, get with the time. Like, recognize that streaming services and, like, they're a legitimate platform for television.
Right.
Like, original content, on television. And, like, I just don't get the mentality of, like, well, why are they just dumping it on a streaming service and not putting it on network TV? The reason is that there's been such a shift of people watching live TV and watching network TV.
Yeah.
Two is that they don't need to write to ad breaks. It's like they don't have to edit down a product to fit a very specific time slot, and they don't have to worry about FCC regulations and standards and practices or whatever.
More art, less business. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and if you can't recognize that at this point in 2019, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, shut your mouth, basically.
Yes.
Yeah,
Quit tapping your feet and get with the times.
Well, and you have to acknowledge that the efficiency or the efficacy of the old ways of network television is inefficient, and it's not a good way to collect ratings.
Mm-mm.
It's not that appealing to people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone, even like my parents don't watch much live TV anymore,
Oh,
and they're senior citizens, like they're baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, people want to be able to watch stuff when they want to, like airing a show at like, the Thursday night 9:00 slot, that is the most coveted slot, or Sunday night at whatever. That people don't think that way anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And even old people, old crotchety people that you're talking to, most of them don't think that way anymore. So it's like you're just stuck in an old way of thinking. Yeah. And it's not productive.
You're set in your ways.
Yeah.
And I really hope that, well, like when we're old podcasters, I hope that we don't. I mean, it's inevitable. Like, you're married to the technology of your time.
Right.
I just hope that, we can keep our mental faculties about us to where we can change with the times.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep. So, I don't know. But anyway, that kind of got my goat. But, Twilight Zone, I'm so excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
April 1st. And it was also kind of, surprising to me that how much people were, like, when the Super Bowl trailer came out, for the Twilight Zone, how many people were like, is this real? Like, is this really happening? Like, and they were like, it's coming out April 1st? Is this an April Fool's joke? And I'm like being like, you know, a Twilight Zone podcaster, like, I was just thinking like, I've been keeping up with this news for like a year. Like, it's happening, guys.
Yeah.
God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that.
Okay.
Anything else?
I can round us out really quick with my last one.
Yeah, I forgot you had one more.
It'll be super brief.
Okay.
My wife and I have been watching the new Queer Eye series on Netflix. I didn't watch the old one at all,
neither.
but I knew what the premise was. You know, 5 gay men provide a makeover for someone, right?
I never really felt the need to watch it because I have so much style anyway.
Oh, totally.
With all of my graphic tees and my jeans.
Yes. So I never watched just because it just wasn't on my radar. I didn't watch it. I think I was maybe a little young for it at the time. Cause we were like junior high when that came out. I mean, it was a little bit older.
Mm-hmm. And back when anything that had anything to do with like queer culture or homosexuality was like, oh, we can't watch that because we're like
right.
Just, you know,
exactly.
Early 2000s. Junior high.
We were cis males before that was a thing.
Exactly.
But the new show, the new episodes on Netflix, which have been out for 2 years, there's 2 seasons. The 3rd season drops this week or next week.
Okay.
It is absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
In every single way. The old show, I guess, I like I said, I didn't watch it, but I guess it was the Fab Five, as they're called, the Fabulous Five people who are the gay men who are on it. It was really just like a makeover. Like they just updated your style a little bit and you got like a haircut and stuff like that. But this new one, the tagline for the new series is more than just a makeover.
Okay.
Because each one of the Fab Five is like, a certain aspect of a person's life. They help them make it over.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so like they help them like remodel their living space.
Huh.
And they do like a makeup thing, like a haircut and a makeup thing. And then there is a style guy, but there's a guy who does like culture and he like helps them, like introverted people be more outgoing or basically just helps them achieve some kind of goal they're searching for. And then there's a guy who helps them like cook, like learn how to cook, cook something fun that's like relevant to who they are as a person.
Do they deliver couches and get rid of old couches?
Not that I know of,
Asking
but
for a friend.
They're such nice guys, they'd probably do it if you asked them to.
Nice.
I really like all 5 of the guys they chose. I think they're, you know, obviously the link between all of them is that they're all gay men, but they're a pretty diverse little group, actually.
Nice.
I'm really impressed with it. Like the style guy, his name is Tan. He's British. And he has like, he's a Muslim and he's like, has like a Muslim background and, there's a black guy from the South. There's a guy who was uber religious and had to like give it up because he was gay.
Wow.
They're really interesting guys.
Does it go into their history and stuff, or is it just like
it doesn't, but it comes up naturally because of the people that they interact with and try to make over and stuff like that.
And I know like I guess original iteration of the show, like back when we were, you know, homophobic kids.
Yeah.
Queer Eye for the straight guy.
Right.
They've since dropped for the straight guy. Are they helping with like different kinds of people, or is it still like straight men? It's
not just straight men. They actually made over a gay man.
Oh, interesting.
And like his goal was to come out to his stepmother.
Oh, wow.
And so there was that. They made over a trans person.
Oh, wow.
Who had their like top surgery, which is like the number 1 surgery they want to have to help them transition.
Okay.
They helped him do that. They did a makeover for a woman, women, men. It's different ages. They helped make over this like 18-year-old kid before he went off to college.
Wow.
It's really, and using the word makeover is almost a misnomer because it's,
sure.
And the thing that I love about it is that it's so positive. It's so like,
that's what I've heard.
Yeah. And a lot of it's like, look, you're a great person. We just want to help you be even better. Like that's what a lot of it is. It's like, if there's stuff about you that makes you unhappy, we're going to help you change that.
Wow.
And they help them by, you know, having a different clothing style. And, one of the most significant things I think is the remodel their living space, their home or their apartment or whatever. That's really huge and a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole culture aspect where they help them become something. One guy was a stand-up comedian.
Oh, wow.
And he just needed like help polishing his act, and he did his final act, and it was really funny, and it was just really, it's just incredibly positive, and like, my wife cries at every single episode.
Oh, yeah.
And by my wife, I mean me too. Cause it's just so emotional, and like, they just make such a positive impact on these people.
Nice.
It is remarkably inspiring, and it's hilarious. These guys are just so damn funny. Especially, John Van Ness is the hairstyle and makeup guy.
Okay.
You may have seen him before. He became famous by being on a web series that I think was on, Funny or Die.
Okay.
It was called Gay of Thrones.
Okay.
And it was basically a hairdresser who would recap Game of Thrones with a person that they were cutting their hair with.
Okay.
And he's remarkably flamboyant. Like he's pretty much a stereotype.
Okay.
But he's hysterical. In my opinion, some people might find him annoying, but he's absolutely hysterical. And if you look up Gay of Thrones, you'll laugh your ass off.
Last I checked, I did see that kind of when I was browsing around, Prime Video.
Okay.
Because I think they have like a thing with Funny or Die where they have Funny or Die stuff on there. So you can watch like Between Two Ferns and Gay of Thrones. So
it may have been College Humor, but I think it was Funny or Die.
Yeah, it might. Well, I might be getting it mixed up.
I can't remember, but it's you can find it pretty easily. So. Yeah, it is a resoundingly enjoyable show, and like my wife and I are just ecstatic for season 3 to come out. So
and it's on Netflix, right?
It is on Netflix. Yes.
Nice.
And there's 2 seasons on there. 3rd season comes out this week or next week. So
cool. Or last week.
Yes.
Cool. That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
I may have to check it out. So is it just those seasons? Like they don't have the backlog of?
They don't.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay. Cool. I think I feel like that was. Nah. I don't know if that was on.
It was on Bravo.
Okay.
Bravo. Yeah.
Cool. I think that should do it then.
Totally.
Yeah. So coming up on all of the podcasts, we have this is. There's stuff.
We got plans in the works.
We do. And, we're gonna try our best to do as much as we can.
Yes.
This weekend, I think I'm gonna put this out there and have this recorded and I'm committing to it. I'm going to record, all of my anthology episodes for next month.
Wow.
So that I can have that going, which is funny because with the relaunch, with Anthology, I do a bonus review of a movie or show related to the week's main topic. And then for the relaunch, I was like, I'm going to kind of take that back. I'm going to walk that back. I'm not going to do bonus reviews for at least a while as I get kind of back into the groove. And then as I was researching the next episode that I'm reviewing, it's a Richard Matheson episode that he originally sold a story to somewhere that eventually became one of the stories in Trilogy of Terror, an anthology horror movie from 1975 that's available on Amazon Prime, but it's a very similar story to the episode of The Twilight Zone. So I was just I was researching, I was like, fuck, that has to be a bonus review.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Or I'll do that. And then Tower Junkies, we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. Pet Sematary, book, original movie, new movie reviews. We're also going to be talking about the Tommyknockers, Doomickey, Tommyknockers miniseries, and eventually the Dark Tower.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually. So, and then here on the podcast, on the flagship podcast of Obsessive Viewer, we're going to be reviewing Us and stuff. Us, Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Game of Thrones. And Avengers Endgame. So anyway, fun stuff in the pipeline. Check out all of our stuff. And any parting thoughts before we throw it to the pre-recorded outro?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
And now, here's a short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. To hear the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy.
Speaking of comic books, did you see that for the 80th anniversary of Batman, they're going to release the Dark Knight trilogy in IMAX?
Yes, the tickets are on sale now.
Are they?
Yeah, I just saw on... it's an 8-hour marathon of all three movies.
Yeah.
So I've already got your ticket.
Is it showing at the State Museum in Indianapolis? If it is...
Yes.
Balls.
Late next month. It's going to be playing at the IMAX in 70mm.
Dang, what date's next?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Shoot, I might. Because I'm going to be out of town for like a week.
Oh, yeah.
The third week of April.
Okay. Where are you going?
I'm doing some training for work out of town.
Oh, okay.
Down in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Boca Raton, to be specific.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never been there.
Huh. Are they flying you out there and stuff?
Yeah. You put me in a hotel for like a week, doing some training.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to it.
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny. And follow our recurring co-hosts at I am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Feckus, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, T-E-E, public.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktoberInIrvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering the Twilight Zone and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, the Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP, Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!